Welcome to a beautiful sunset in the east of Holland. My name is Reni. I'm a pagan that comes from these here parts of the land, and we're tackling an important question here today. Can you change your fate? This is a very important question, and a question many people have asked. At first glance, it doesn't seem to be that way, because if you look at it from Germanic and Nordic mythology, you know that our fate is woven into the web of life. And the three sisters, the three norns, Urd, Verandi and Skuld, they are the ones who decide what happens with your life. And in Nordic and Germanic mythology, Odin himself, the wisest of the wise, is troubled by his fate. He's troubled by what he knows that is written in the web. There's written that he will die in Ragnarok by the hands of Fenrir. And he tries to change it, but he can't. So, if Odin, the wisest of the wise, doesn't seem to be able to change his fate, who are you and I, simply mere humans, to do that? Well, it's my experience that we indeed can do something. You can't fight with your destiny. That will only entangle you more in the web. You can't run away from your destiny. It will only stick to you more. But you can, by practicing a certain kind of magic, namely a hypersygil, you can, if you may, respectfully work with the three sisters. Not with sisters, but be allowed to move a bit on the web. Now, I like this concept because in my experience, you can change the future and you can change the past by changing the here and now. You can change the future because if things are better now, that automatically means that echoes into the future. It's just like this lake behind me, you know, if you throw a rock, the ripples flow out. You change it now, you also change it to the future. And you also change the past. Because life is like a movie, it's like a television show. You can watch a television show and it will take 30 minutes and it will be 25 minutes of pure agony. But somehow, if it all comes together in those last 5 minutes and everybody's happy, suddenly all the suffering is forgotten. Now you read that and you watch those shows and you go like, well, that doesn't sound realistic at all. But it's actually really realistic. That's just how it goes. If everything's all right in the end, it doesn't matter what came before it. All that matters is that it's all right in the end. So, rewriting your own destiny. Rewriting your own destiny using hypersygils. Well, first I have to explain what a hypersigil is. Imagine, I actually saw this as a meme, by the way, on Instagram, and it said, imagine if you had a book. If you had a magical book and everything you wrote in this book would came to be in this real world, what would you write? What would you write on this magical book? This magical book is what they call a hypersigil. If you don't know, a sigil is a symbol which is used to channel energy to alter reality in accordance with your own true will. It's still one of the most important forms of magic, sigil magic. Now, if you're interested in learning how to do it, I read this book a couple of years ago, Weaving Fate by Aidan Wachter. If you're interested in this stuff, I highly recommend you get it. Because it details a step-by-step guide on how to make such a book. You're making a book and you're breathing life into it and you're maintaining this entity by giving it your energy. You're supposed to go into nature and ask permission of the three norns. And if your heart is pure enough, you may move your hands to the web and see if you can change part of your destiny. Now, I read this a couple of years ago and I spent, I think, a half a year doing this. Feeding the book, working with the pen, even creating a separate entity which is used to help the book fulfill its mission. It's all here in this book how you can do that. But I'm here to discuss what I wrote down, and I'm here to discuss the results, and I'm here to discuss how does this stuff actually work. Especially what I said in the beginning of this video, if Odin has trouble with his destiny and suddenly I'm just claiming you can just change your destiny willy-nilly, how does that work? Well, first of all, when I went to make an offering to the Norns, I think it was 2 years ago, it was actually in this forest, well, not behind me, but the other way, you can't see that. And I went to a road crossing in the middle of the forest. And the book told me you should make an offering. And you should put them at the crossing. And later it made sense why it had to be a crossing. And you ask permission of the Norns. So I felt kind of awkward because I'm alone in a big forest at a crossroad and I just left my offering there. And they said, well, you'll get a sign if it's okay. I thought, like, how's this sign going? I didn't understand, like, how could I interpret the sign? You know, your mind starts working really fast and you're not getting anywhere. So I was on the crossroads, put the offering there. I said, listen, this is what I want to do. I just want to ask, like, with all due respect, some permission. And I did that. And I just sat there quietly for a while. And a deer showed up. A deer literally crossed my path about 2 meters from where I was. And the deer stopped right at the path. He just looked at me. He did this. And he walked. And he kept on walking. I was just like sitting there. I felt like my nervous system just leapt outside of my body. I was so ecstatic, as you sometimes do when you do magic and you have a feeling that it's work. I literally felt like there was a deer crossing my path who was like, go ahead. So I started doing that. Now I'm not going to open this book up for you because I only opened this book in a special room under special circumstances. But I had some goals that I wrote down. Like, for instance, I had some goals about how I wanted to look. I wanted to lose some weight. I wanted to gain some muscle. I knew exactly how I wanted to look. And the funny thing is, when I was doing this, it was still pandemic days. So everything was locked down and I couldn't even go to the gym. So I wrote down exactly how I wanted to look. You know what happened? Somebody gifted me a gym. Now I know what you're thinking. You go like, oh, it's probably somebody who had a gym and who doesn't use it anymore, and well, good for you. No, that's not what it was like. Somebody called me up, a friend of mine, and he bought me a new gym. Well, he bought me 2 really expensive dumbbells, the ones you can exchange weights in. It's like 800 euros for just the dumbbells, a big barbell, I don't know how to call these things in English, but two dumbbells, one big dumbbell, a bench that you can sit on, and another machine. So basically all you need to work out. So that was like a large amount, which I considered a small miracle at the time, meaning that even though everything was locked down, I could still work on my goals. I wrote on here that I wanted my investments to go well. And this is where I made a mistake. Because I wrote down, I invested in a cryptocurrency named Ethereum. And I said, I want Ethereum to hit 4,000 euros. And it did. But I just didn't cash out at the right moment. So I should have been more specific. I also wrote some other stuff down. I also wrote some stuff down for this channel. I said I want this channel to have 5,000 subscribers. Well, where are you people? Because it's only 2.1 at the moment as recording this video. So not everything came true, but then again, I didn't really put a specific time or date in there. So this channel might still hit 5K. I don't know. It's growing, but it's growing slowly. My point is, I strongly feel that what I put in this book has altered reality and could potentially alter your destiny. Now, how does that work? It has to do with that first offering where I saw the deer. You do it at a crossroads, because the web of weird, the web of the sisters, sometimes I visualize it like a spider's web, and you walk along the lines of these spider webs. Now, what we often think is when we change our destiny is that we just cut up the lines or do something else. But there are knots on these spider webs. That's how they come together. And when you politely ask the norns if you may move in the web of weird, or word in Old Germanic, but with word I always think of Microsoft Word, so it's different. So I don't use that. What you ask is, in the crossing, can I, instead of going straight ahead, can I make a right turn? So you're not changing the web. You're not destroying the web. You're simply walking a different path on the web. Now, I don't think you can change everything. Like Odin couldn't change his destiny. If it's your destiny, when I think like that Havamal quote, that the hour and time of your death is set and you can do nothing to avoid it. I believe that is also very true, but it is, in my opinion, substantially better if you try to alter your path with a bit of love and a bit of respect. So I'll Weaving Fate by Aidan Wachter. I'll link it in the description below if you want to try it, and I recommend you try it. I mean, you already think this is an interesting subject, otherwise you wouldn't have clicked the video, otherwise you wouldn't have watched until the end. So I recommend you do this and you try this, because it's magic. You can weave your own fate, and you are far more powerful than you have been led to believe. Now, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Ga met de goden en weef met het web.